The Department of Justice has notified Hillary Clinton that she should expect to be indicted in the coming days and weeks for mishandling classified information that she stored on her private email server, her homebrew email server that she kept in a bathroom closet in New York, on which she kept information that was classified at the highest levels. I'm talking about information associated with human intelligence sources, information that if our adversaries got a hold of, could and would and probably did cause harm or even death to these human intelligence sources. The Department of Justice has spent quite some time investigating Hillary Clinton for this wrongdoing, and they finally notified her, at least according to sources, that she can expect to be indicted for violating the Espionage Act. The Espionage Act deals with the intentional or unintentional mishandling of classified information, and she could face prison time for such a crime if she is convicted, in addition to being prohibited from ever running for office. Oh, wait a second. Did I say Hillary Clinton? I meant Donald Trump. The Department of Justice has notified Donald Trump that he can expect to be indicted, but Hillary Clinton, no. We are going to talk about all this and more right now, so let's get to it. Imagine for 1 second that all these headlines that we've seen all over the place today about the Department of Justice notifying Donald Trump, or at least sources associated with the Department of Justice telling people close to Donald Trump that he can expect to be indicted any day now for allegedly mishandling classified information. Imagine if this were not about Donald Trump. Imagine if this were about Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton, who, when she was Secretary of State during the Obama-Biden administration, kept classified information on a homebrew email server. So we're talking not about paper documents. We're not even talking about digital documents that are on a computer that has protection against hacking, against our foreign adversaries. The highest ranking diplomat in our country, Hillary Clinton, as Secretary of State. This is the top secret information. Imagine for a second if we saw these headlines. Hillary Clinton notified that she would be indicted. Or imagine Biden. Think about Biden's Corvette. It was practically loaded with boxes and boxes and boxes and boxes of classified documents from his presidency and his vice presidency all the way back to his days in the Senate. We're talking about decades of these documents sitting next to his crackhead son. His crackhead son drove his Corvette. Imagine if these headlines were about Joe Biden. Joe Biden notified by the Department of Justice that he would be indicted for mishandling classified information. He could face charges related to the Espionage Act. He could serve time in prison. He might be prohibited from ever running for political office again. Imagine if this were Vice President Pence. Pence also had classified documents in his home, but sources told Pence that he wouldn't be facing any charges. No indictment for Mike Pence. What about Barack Obama? For nearly a decade, Barack Obama had his classified documents associated with his administration just stored in a storage unit in Chicago. Were they protected against hackers? Were they really secured? We don't know. Maybe they were, maybe they weren't. No one cares at all. He was going to scan them and digitize them for his presidential library, but did he ever do it? I don't know. Maybe they were just sitting in a bunch of bankers' boxes in an air-conditioned locker somewhere in Chicago. Chicago, the safest city in the United States, a city known for avoiding thievery and burglary and other kinds of violent crimes. Imagine if these headlines were about one of them. But of course, the headlines are not about them because we are living in a banana republic. We're living in a scenario. It's not hypothetical anymore. We've spent decades now talking about if we don't stop what the left is doing, soon we will have a country that's on the point of no return. This isn't futuristic anymore. We are now living in a divided nation where there are two sets of rules, one for the left and one for the right. And it's not just social rules and cultural rules. These are our justice system has been weaponized and treats people who are Republican differently than it treats people who are Democrats. President Trump, let me remind you what happened with President Trump. Just a little rundown, because there's going to be a deluge of misinformation from the corporate media, from the leftist shills who want nothing more than to see Donald Trump in an orange jumpsuit. They want nothing more than to see Donald Trump humiliated by another indictment, another arraignment. We saw that in New York City once. They are craving it again. Once is simply not enough for them. It's like crack for them. They will do anything. They'll sell their arm and their leg just to get Donald Trump indicted again. But let's remember what happened here. When Donald Trump left the White House, he took with him some bankers' boxes full of documents. This is normal. It's typical. What he took with him was souvenirs from his administration, including reportedly a letter that Kim Jong-un had written him. Now, most communications between a president and whoever the president is communicating with belong to the United States government. They are not the property of the president as an individual. This is similar to you and I, right? If we work for a company and we have an email account that's been issued by that company, and we send emails and we receive emails on that account, even if sometimes those emails are more personal in nature, when we leave that company, the company revokes our access to that email account, and those emails are the property of the company that we work for. They're not our property. This is normal. That's the same with the United States government, and it's even a step further with our government because presidents are elected by the people. They are our servants. We have laws that require transparency so that we know what a president is doing as our elected representative. However, there are some things that presidents are allowed to take with them. There are some personal effects that presidents have ownership of when they leave the Oval Office that do not belong to the United States government. It was these types of things that President Trump took with him when he went to Mar-a-Lago. He packed these things in bankers' boxes. There was actually a video of one of his staffers taking this to Marine One as President Trump left the White House after the inauguration of Joe Biden. He took them to Mar-a-Lago. He stored them in Mar-a-Lago. And then the National Archives reached out to him. The National Archives said, you know what? We want you to keep some of these documents in a more secure place because some of them potentially have sensitive information associated with them. And President Trump's team, his lawyers, when they were notified by the National Archives, they said, okay, no problem. And they moved these documents to a secured location. The secured location was physically secured by a lock that was approved by officials in the Biden administration, whether this was the Secret Service or the FBI or the National Archives. There was agreement about moving these documents to a different location. The National Archives then asked for some of these documents back. They said, hey, we think you have some documents that don't actually belong to you. And President Trump said, okay, you can come here and you can talk to my lawyers about what you can take back and what I'm allowed to have. President Trump reportedly felt pretty possessive of these documents because he felt that most of them belonged to him and he wanted to keep them. There's also, I would say, a strong likelihood that some of these documents he wanted to keep because he anticipated false attacks from the left, and these documents contained evidence that would help exonerate him when he faced these false allegations. We don't know that for a fact, but there's a strong likelihood that that's the case. So there was a little tension between the Trump team and the team from the National Archives. The National Archives wanted even more access and more access and more access. Trump's team complied and complied and complied. And finally, there was a little standoff. Trump refused to return some of the documents that they wanted, and the National Archives wanted to take all of them. And it culminated in an FBI raid.
Hi, guys. It's Liz Wheeler. Don't forget to watch my show, The Liz Wheeler Show, every night at 7 p.m. on the First TV. You can download the free First TV app, or you can visit thefirsttv.com/Liz and start watching today.